Hi, everyone. My name is Cherise Davis, and I would like to welcome you to Pineapple Talks. Pineapple Talks is all about conversations, content, and interviews with men and women who are contributing to the hospitality industry in some way. And so today I'm so excited to have one of my fellow Johnson& and Wales alumni, Chef Chris Williams, joining me today. Chris, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I'm so glad that you are here. So I am really excited to speak with you because some people in their life they have one path or one thing that they do, but I know that you wear a few different hats. You are an entrepreneur. You have a traditional sort of 9 to 5 role, and then you also have some new projects that you are working on that have both, I guess, a profit and a nonprofit social enterprising element to it. So I cannot wait to talk to you about those things. So let's start with your 9 to 5. How is it? How does it connect hospitality and culinary arts, and what your role is?
So I am an executive chef for a company called Met Culinary Management, and just I'm the executive chef for a university called Reinhardt University, which is in Canton. Um, but just to give you an overall look at what a contract food service company is, basically a contract food service company is a third party sourced company that other people use as far as their expertise. So if you're, let's say, your State Farm or your Rubbermaid, or you're an educational institution like Kennesaw State or Georgia Tech or something like that, I might outsource the food services for the company to somebody else, like let's say a Compass Group or a Sodexo, or like the company I work for is Mets, because that's our expertise. We know food costs, we know ordering, we know inventory, we know the hospitality side of things. Whereas a Georgia Tech, they're an educational institution, they know education. So why not let the experts do it, what it is that they do? So um, basically we go in and we set up shop. So if you have a kitchen, um, we basically manage all of the things like cooking the food, serving the food. We'll hire the staff, so we'll manage all the labor, we'll manage all the inventory. Um, we nurture all of the relationships with all the food purveyors. Um,
Mhm.
Anything like that. So anything from linen, anything from a produce vendor, anything from a food service food provider like a Cisco or a U.S. Foods or anything like that. We have those relationships where we get the best pricing, where we're known in the industry. We've created those relationships that'll definitely get us the best product and quality. Um, so in a nutshell, that's pretty much what a contract food service company is and does. My role as an executive chef is usually pretty much 70-30. So it's 70% administrative, and then it's 30% kind of production wise. So I'll do anything from ordering the food on a weekly basis to doing the inventory, menu development, production sheets, and things of that nature. So making sure that all of our production numbers are in order. Safety and sanitation. So I have to make sure that things like temperatures are being taken. That we, like things like the dish room, the dish machine has the proper chemicals. Um, we have a retail center, so I have to make sure that we have the right appropriate items for our retail venue that the students are going to be interested in. It's going to grasp them. It's going to keep them. It's going to keep them happy. Um, and at the same time, the client. So there's always, with contract food service company, there's always usually one particular person that is going to be your contact person, that is called your client, and that's the
Mm.
person that you directly report to, that the contract food service company directly reports to. And so um, You also want to make sure that person, that you have open communication with that person, because that person is going to give you the most accurate feedback, because that person is going to be in contact with the students, and with the parents. And so to develop and nurture that relationship with with that client is going to be very key for a contract food service provider, especially when it comes to the executive chef, the general manager, or the food service director. Um, to have that relationship. So in a nutshell, that's what I do. And then, like I said, in 30% production. So the other 30% would be like, culinary training. Sometimes I just get in there and I just cook because I just like to cook.
So you shared a little bit about the managed services role and how basically managed services is really services that are being managed for another company or another organization. So I like how you refer to this as third party services.
Hmm.
So as an executive chef, you what are some of the things that you are
Hmm.
required to do on a weekly basis?
So my role is 70%. It's going to be administrative, and 30% is operational. So administrative wise, I could do anything from ordering to inventory to handling safety and sanitation. Um, we have a retail center, so I have to make sure that the ordering is good for the retail center, to make sure that we're ordering the appropriate items, that are going to be um, pleasant for all the students. Things that they may request, fun items, because usually it's a late night grill type of situation, and we have Starbucks set up, and so it's kind of like a little hangout right now because of COVID. It's a to go type of situation, but normally it would be somewhere where you can kind of come and hang out and sit down and enjoy yourself with your friends.
Yeah.
And then the other 30% is going to be production. And so I do anything from culinary training. And then, like I said, sometimes I like to just get in there and just cook, just because it kind of gets me out of the office a little bit, and it's a little switch up to anything from, like I work with, we have different stations out in our food court. And so I work with the different stations just to kind of see what kind of things do we need to work on, to develop, to make it even better than what it is. Not that we don't do a great job, but there's always room for some type of improvement.
Right.
Um, and so, yeah, so basically on a weekly basis, that's in a nutshell what I do.
That's a great overview. As you were talking, I just kind of had a flashback to, being at Johnson and Wells and just,
Hmm.
having that dining hall experience. And like you said, all the different stations that you could get food from. And I'm sure that the students love what you have going for them there. So
No complaints so far.
that's good. That's very, very good. So you kind of touched a little bit about COVID and how you're having to do some things differently. So, what would you say, I guess, compare and contrast to pre-COVID and currently? Like, what are some of the challenges that you're facing now in light of COVID?
Well, as far as being in the, when you work in food service, you kind of, especially in the back of the house, you know, for us to have to wear masks all day long, we're talking about a kitchen that's very hot. And so for us to have to wear masks, that's an issue for a lot of the staff members.
Mm,
Um, and for the students, they don't like to have to come into the dining hall to have to wear masks, and
mm,
having to. I mean, we're talking about a college campus where everybody just wants to kind of be around each other, and yeah, and so to have to kind of patrol and police the 6 feet apart thing, and making sure everything, and not that we should not be sanitizing all day long anyway, which I think is a good thing that the CDC has placed all of these different policies in place, because now food service places, whether they're restaurants or wherever they are, they're taking heed to how much more sanitizing we could be doing. Um, but so those are some of the issues. Like, we used to be a venue that was kind of self-serve, so you could kind of go around and just serve yourself at all the different stations. You can't do that anymore.
Okay.
We serve the students, so that becomes a staffing thing because now I have to hire somebody to actually stand there to serve the students, whereas not to just where I could have just had somebody just refilling. Um, so that becomes a little bit of a challenge sometimes, not all the time.
Mhm.
Um, but it's been okay for food cost wise because we're definitely not going through as much food anymore because it's not a free for all.
Got it.
Uh,
Right, right.
so
I guess if any, there are pros and cons, so you guys are definitely probably doing a lot better, making sure that budget and everything is in order.
mm,
And I mean, obviously you were doing that before, but to your point that with everything, there's a cause and effect. And so,
mm.
yeah, I can see that. So in thinking about this role that you have, what would you say probably brings you the most joy or has been most memorable for you?
Hmm. Probably the most joy and my career, just being in a contract food service, was when I first joined the last company I worked for, which was Compass Group.
Mhm.
I was working for a sector called Chartwell. I'm sure you're familiar. Um, my first college was Tacoma Falls College, and Compass Group had just taken over the contract, and Sodexo had been there for 10 years. So just like any time a company is in place for a long period of time, the people that work for that company, they get acclimated to the way that company does things. Um, and so when I was interviewed for the position, the general manager, he said, that they're a wonderful group of people and they just need some help with their development as far as production and, you know, perhaps, a little bit more training on scratch cooking and, things of that nature. So the greatest satisfaction was that going in there and the reception that I had from the staff was like they just wanted it wasn't any type of pushback. They
Mhm.
wanted to learn and they wanted to do a great job. And they let me come in and they let me kind of do my thing and they let me get the place in order. And um, we just had such a good time and just had, just learning and building and you know, the communication we had with the community, which is great. So, um, and to this day, I can go back there and they're like, sometimes and some of them people have been there for 20 and 30 years.
Yeah.
And I was only there for like maybe a year and a half. And they were
Mhm.
like, you were the best we ever had. And I said, the
Wow.
best of like, like, you've been here for
Little
20 years and
right.
that's the best.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, they're like, you the best.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
I to that point,
that was very satisfying to me.
yes. And I think that's a great example of how important it is to be an expert at what it is that you do. But I also believe that I'm sure you brought in character and personality and energy to that. And at the end of the day, I mean, whatever industry you're in, people are just looking for people to be able to connect with and to connect to. And I
Mhm.
definitely think that that was something that you brought, which is, probably why they thought you were pretty incredible.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. And so let's let's kind of transition into speaking about the entrepreneur hat that you wear. So tell me about your business. You started a business. What at this point has been several years, right? Several years?
Yeah, so It's been several years. I've had several businesses. So when I first moved to Atlanta, I had a company called Lavish Catering. That was my first catering
Yes,
business.
I remember.
Um, and I had that with some friends. You're from Lavish Catering, right? So I had that with some friends, and we did everything from weddings to social affairs, anniversaries. We did a lot of nonprofit events. We did religious affairs like bar mitzvahs. We did in-home stuff for people. We did private dinners. We did classes. We did everything. We did everything.
Mhm.
Um, we then, as a group, decided to dissolve that business, and I kind of scaled back, and that's when I started POSH Events and Catering, and that's when I kind of like just started doing some smaller things and home stuff. Um, nothing more than 75 people,
Mhm.
stuff, things of that nature.
Yeah.
Um, and so I still do, same type of stuff like if somebody has a smaller wedding or if somebody has a smaller some type of a social function or something like that that they want to ready or something like that.
Mhm.
So I'll do that. Um, but since then, I've bumped it up a notch, and my cousin and I started our own contract food service company. It's a smaller business. And what we do is we provide meals on a daily basis to charter schools, private schools, and at-risk after-school
Okay.
programs.
I'm
And
I
so that
have
is
time.
based in Charlotte, and soon to be in Atlanta.
Okay.
That's the basis of my company's entrepreneurship right now.
So, just as I'm listening to you, I am so intrigued by your ability to juggle working for someone else and working for yourself. So, how are you doing this time management thing?
So, like I said, I'm going to be honest with you. It's not easy. It's very difficult. Um, but I think if you really believe in your goal and your dream, and you really want, and if you're a true entrepreneur and you really want to work for yourself and build something, then you got to just grind it out a little bit. The goal at the end of the day is to not have the 9 to 5.
Right.
So, you know, the less and less you have to go to work. I mean, you can go from having a full-time job to having a part-time job. Go from having that part-time job to not having to go to that part-time job anymore, because whatever your company is, whatever the business is that you built is now generating enough income that you can support you. It may not support you in the way that your 9 to 5 supported you, whereas you might have the luxury to go out and do this and that, but it's supporting you enough that you're paying your bills, you
Right.
know, until it gets you to
And
that.
fulfilling, like
So
I think
fulfilled.
that matters. Yeah, I think that matters a lot. Um, so obviously everyone has an origin story. I think about, I love Marvel and how, you go back to people's childhood and you figure out, oh, so that explains why this person ended up pursuing this, or this is why, XYZ led to this. So let's talk about your origin story and your beginnings and how, what were some of the things that happened along the way growing up that gave you that aha moment that I want to move into becoming an entrepreneur, that I want to move into food service, kind of take us back to little Chris
Well,
before.
that wasn't a very difficult decision, because I was born into a family full of entrepreneurs and
Ah,
caterers and chefs and things of that nature. So, like,
it's
growing up. Say it again.
It's in your blood.
It's in my blood. Yeah, my mom was a great cook. My mom never did it professionally, but my mom is an amazing cook. Like, we always had great Sunday dinners. We used to invite all of our friends over. My brothers and sisters, we used to invite all of our friends over. My aunts and uncles had catering businesses. My aunts did cakes from scratch, and for a lot of big name companies and people. And so it was kind of like a path that, like I said, it was really already kind of drawn out for me. And the entrepreneur side, so they had their businesses. As I grew and I started to like visit my other cousins that were in the South, kind of like in the South Carolina, North Carolina area, a lot of them were businessmen that had, their own mortgage companies, and they were big in like child services and had several group homes and things of that nature. And so they kind of also helped me see like, wow, like I could have my own and do my own. And they were very, very supportive of that vision and me doing that. And so when I was a kid though, my mom worked late because she's a nurse, and my brother and sister would always be off doing something or whatever. And so I liked to cook. I didn't mind cooking. And so when I was a kid, my mom would, over the phone, she would leave stuff out for me to do. Like she'd leave it in the refrigerator, and then over the phone on her break, she would instruct me on how to cook it. And so I just go in there and just kind of freestyle, and I just do it. And so sometimes it would turn out good and sometimes it wouldn't. Yeah. But it was, that was just me. That was just me just saying, okay, just whatever, like accepting the fact that it may not be perfect, but I'm going to give it a try anyway.
Right.
So that was always something satisfying to me. Me and my cousins, we always like wanted to like impress our parents, so we would like make them breakfast in the morning before they we would get up, like we would
eggs not better than yours.
We would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and like try to make them breakfast.
Wow.
So it was very, and then trust me, they were all very interesting. Eggs were not just eggs. They were like, the eggs had to be like with whatever it might have in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It definitely sounds like you had a very sweet and savory childhood. And I mean, I would have loved to have been your parents, because I would have loved being able to wake up to breakfast prepared. I mean, that's usually you don't always hear kids do that. So what a treat they had in having you all are as kids.
Yeah.
So once you realize, okay, this is what I enjoy doing, this is what I like, tell me your J. Wu story. Like how did you decide that Johnson & Wales was the school that you wanted to go to?
So originally it wasn't Johnson & Wales. Originally I was very set on what was then the New York Restaurant School, which is now the Art Institute. Okay. So when I was in high school, we did several college tours up and down the East Coast. We toured about 30 schools. I was a part of an organization called Bridge. And Bridge basically was an organization that really kind of helped with your, applying for education, building that drive, and that focus on what are you going to do next in life. Whether it be going to college or whether it be going to a trade school or whatever it might have been, right? So, like I said, so we toured about 30 schools within 2 years. And originally I looked at Morris Brown, because Morris Brown back in the day, had a really good hospitality program. And so I was like, and I knew people who went to Morris Brown and all that. So I was like, okay, Morris Brown might be that school. And I really liked Atlanta at that time too. Everybody was that's when Atlanta was like the place to, I mean, it still is the place to be. But then as a kid, you were like, wow,
Right, right. And then you
And
have to
so,
live in Atlanta and pay for living in Atlanta. So then you start to feel different about Atlanta. But, you know,
right.
it's still great. We love Atlanta. We love Atlanta.
Exactly. And so, um, when I was a senior in high school, I was working for Whole Foods Market,
Hmm.
and I was in management with them. And um, I just, my plan was after high school, I was going to, because I grew up probably about 20-25 minutes outside of Manhattan. And so I could take a train or a bus and be in New York City in no time. So my plan was, I'm gonna keep my job with Whole Foods Market. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna take the
Hmm.
train or bus in, do what I gotta do, and that's
Hmm.
it. That's life. I'm gonna, build from there. Um, but I don't know. Something, I guess, just something, kind of just hit me. A lot of my friends were going away,
Hmm.
um, and I just kind of felt like maybe I need to just try breaking away and seeking other options. And so at the time, I really like, I think Emerald was like really big at the time.
Yes.
Like he was like the
Kick it up a notch.
superstar. Yeah. And
Yes.
so I kind of, so I researched where he went to school, and I'm like, well, where did Emerald go to school? So, but it's Johnson Wells.
Yes.
Um, and so that's when I started my research on Johnson and Wells and just kind of seeing what the school was all about and what they had to offer. And I liked what I saw, and went ahead and I applied. Um, I did not, it's so funny. It's like I used to be a person that really wasn't very confident, so I did not really expect to even get accepted, but
Hmm.
I did.
Yeah.
But I did, and that made me kind of nervous because I was like, wow, so it's about to be real now. So now I'm really about to pack my bags and I'm going away and I'm about to be around a whole bunch of people I don't know.
Hmm.
Um, and, we'll see. Um, but Johnson& Wales to me, and the reason why I felt like it was a great school during my research of the school was that I love the fact that um, it wasn't like a traditional college. So you kind of really, um, when you start Johnson& Wales, I mean, you go right into what it is you're there for. You
Hmm.
know, you start your first day of class could be you in the kitchen cooking.
Yep.
And which I love that. If you're in hospitality, one of your first classes is something to do with hospitality.
Right.
And, they have the other classes mixed in there. They have your economics and your accounting classes, and they have all of that stuff mixed in there, but it's mixed in. It's not like I got to do 2 years of all of these, you know,
Basic core.
basic courses that I may or may not use.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, and then I like the fact that, you can those classes, those like my first 2 years of culinary arts, I could get my associates in culinary arts in 2 years, and then I could be done, you
Hmm.
know, and it gives you kind of that relief of not, and that it takes that pressure off of, I have to finish a 4-year degree in
Hmm.
order to move on.
Hmm.
But no, you get all that basic training those first 2 years of what you need in culinary arts. And then when I do my food service management in my third and fourth year, that's
Hmm.
more of the business side of things. That's more of the, okay, well, we're going to talk about, economics and sociology, and we're going to talk about, all those other things, hospitality law, all the other classes like that. We got your FSM, where you're going to actually put together a whole restaurant from scratch, and you're
Hmm.
going to learn how to run it and build that menu and cost out your food and all that good stuff and build a business plan. And so, but that's not for everybody. Some people just
Right.
want to cook. And so that's why I say those first 2 years, you could be done. You could say, okay,
Right.
thank you, Johnson& Wells. I appreciate it. Where's my bill? And you're
Right.
done. Because they're
Yes.
going to give you your bill on the way
They,
out.
they yeah. They may still have a bill out for me, but
Oh,
that's
they
for
definitely got one out for me.
We're gonna leave that there. Wow, wow, wow. So, well, I just love the other thing too. I would say, and I don't, we don't want to make this a whole Johnson and Wells thing, but obviously Johnson and Wells played a huge part in your formation. It played a huge part in mine as well with hospitality. But I also think another benefit too is that the relationships that you get to develop. Like that's how we actually met was at school, and how you're able to do life with people. You know, even post graduation. And so I'm really glad that you decided to not take that train to New York, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have the
Yeah.
opportunity to see you. So we've talked about what you're doing now, and we've talked about your then, you know, how you got to where you are. But let's talk about later. What's happening next? What are you looking forward to doing and pursuing?
So next is, um, so the company that I started in Charlotte with my cousin, I'm actually right now in the process of renovating a kitchen in East Point, where we're going to take that business model and we're going to start that same thing here in East Point. So we will be doing some outreach to some, like I said, charter schools, private schools. We're going to be looking at at-risk after-school programs. We're going to be looking at adult daycare centers, things of that nature, senior centers, senior living places. So we're going to be looking at growing into different sectors, not just child nutrition, but looking into doing some other sectors with some, with some, like I said, with some adult care, senior living. And then we'll be looking at colleges and universities at some point. So that's and that company's called Charter One. So
Okay.
that's that sector. Then I'm starting a nonprofit organization called the Kitchen Project. And the Kitchen Project is a 6-month certificate program where we will be educating at-risk youth from 15 to 21 on culinary arts and hospitality arts. And based upon the completion of the program, we're going to help you either with continuing education. So if you want to apply for college or something along those lines, we'll help you do that, or we'll help you get some type of entry-level position in the industry, whether it be, washing dishes or a line cook or a bar back or something along those lines. Because we're going to build those between the relationships that I already have, me and my partner already have, and the relationships that we plan on building with the Kitchen Project. We want to open up those doors, and so that when a person completes the program, we can say, okay, well, I have somebody new for you. Do you have a dishwashing position for them? Do you have a server position for them? So on and so forth. The difference between my program that we will be doing and other programs, and there's a lot of great culinary training programs out there. Most of them are 90 days. Mine is a little bit longer because I don't want to just show young people how to get a job. I don't want to just teach them a skill and show them how to get a job. I want to show you the skill. I want to show you how to get a job, but I want to show you how to grow and keep the job.
Yes.
Which is so important, because I think a lot of times with young people, it's like I can show you something and I can place you somewhere, but then how do you communicate within that environment with other people and with your higher ups? How do you show your executive chef that you want his job one day? What is it that you say to him? Mm-hmm. So that's why we have some other courses that we are going to be providing, like career development courses. We're gonna do a sociology piece. We're gonna do an accounting piece, so that you know how to handle money, and that you got a little bit of a leg up on knowing what an inventory and why a person counts an inventory and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. And just an all around kind of like some life skills courses, to where you know how to adapt to different environments. Just mm-hmm. because you might have been raised in a certain environment that doesn't mean that when you go to work, you're supposed to be, and it's okay to be who you are. I'm not saying don't ever change who you are, but if you're in a professional setting, you know, you have to know how to be professional. And I think a lot of times young people struggle with that, especially in that tender years and those ages of those teenage years. It's like, you know, they just know what they know. And
Yeah.
so, you know, I don't care if you're at home bugging out with your friends and you know,
in this in this
yeah,
restaurant.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow. I love that. I love it. And I love that again, it's it's going to just be so beneficial for just overall personal development, but also it's business too. And you know, it plays into the economy, it plays into the industry, it plays into people becoming better contributors to society, because at the end of the day, that's what we want, is for everyone to be a contributor to society in a good and a positive way. And what you're doing is just that. So I am so thrilled about what's coming up. And I hope that there is some way too that in the future we can connect in that way too. So before you go, I do want to give you the opportunity to share how people can connect with you. So maybe they want to hire you for a small event. Maybe they want to get involved with this new venture that you're doing, or maybe they want to pursue a career in managed services. So kind of let the people know how they can get in touch with you.
so I have several Instagrams, but so my personal and most frequently used one is chef underscore CW. And then there's the Kitchen Project, which is another, it's just the Kitchen Project. That's that's for my nonprofit organization. Charter One Foods is the other Instagram. These are all Instagram names. You can just type in Charter One Foods and you'll find us. And then the other one is POSH underscore Events and Catering. And that's for the private catering sector piece of things. Website wise, if you go to thekitchenprojectinc.org, that's how you can find more information on the nonprofit that we are going to be starting. And then charteronefoods.com is the other website. That's for the contract food service piece of things. And then POSH Events and Catering.com is also the other website that we have. So
I love it.
it's going to all come together
Yeah.
at some point.
Yes. I love that. But that's real life, you know, like, yeah. I don't think that we should always be like one dimensional. And I mean, the fact that you're able to manage all of these different entities, even though, like you said, it's hard, that is worth celebrating. And so I celebrate you for having just your hands in multiple places, and you're effective. You know, some people got a lot going on and they're not really doing anything.
And they're not doing anything.
You're doing something. So I definitely celebrate you for that. I know your family and your parents are proud. Your friends are proud. Johnson Wells, I don't know if they know all that you have going on, but they will be.
Oh, they know. I still talk to Tarun Malik frequently.
Yay.
And I still talk to his wife, Sarah Malik, very frequently. Yes. So they know what's going on.
Okay, good. I'm actually going to be talking to her very soon, later in October.
Nice.
So, yes. But I, again, just thank you so much for making yourself available.
Absolutely.
And I wish you all the best going forward.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. So I'll see you later.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.